Welcome to Sleep Books, where we transform fascinating histories into calming bedtime stories. Tonight, we journey across the centuries to explore the British Empire, how it rose from a small island nation to control nearly a quarter of the world, and how, after centuries of dominance, it eventually faded into history. Tonight's story is based on Empire, The Rise and Fall of the British Empire by Niall Ferguson. Before we begin, set your volume low, get comfortable, and allow yourself to drift into sleep as we travel through time. Full copies of the book can be found in the description, and new sleep stories arrive every night to help you unwind. Introduction: The Empire That Shaped the World. As you close your eyes and allow your mind to drift, imagine the sound of waves lapping against the sides of great wooden ships. The salty sea air fills your lungs. The deck beneath your feet creaks as a vast fleet sets sail, carrying the hopes, ambitions, and conquests of an empire that would change the world. This is the story of the British Empire, a tale of adventure and ambition, of courage and cruelty, of power and progress. For nearly 400 years, Britain's influence spread across the globe, reaching every continent, shaping nations, economies, and societies. It built railways and telegraphs, cities and trade routes. It introduced democracy in some places and oppression in others. At its height, the British Empire governed nearly a quarter of the world's landmass and over 400 million people. But in time, all empires must decline, and Britain's would ultimately dissolve, leaving behind a world forever changed. So tonight, as you relax, allow yourself to be transported through the centuries, back to a time when the sun never set on the British Empire. Chapter 1: The Empire begins with pirates. In the 16th century, while Spain and Portugal were already carving out great empires in the Americas, England remained a small kingdom on the fringes of Europe. But its ambitions were growing. At first, England's approach to empire building was unorthodox. Instead of colonizing lands directly, it turned to pirates. These weren't the lawless criminals of storybooks. They were state-sponsored privateers, sanctioned by the crown to raid Spanish treasure ships. One of the most famous of these sea raiders was Sir Francis Drake. With the Queen's approval, Drake circumnavigated the globe, plundering Spanish galleons along the way, filling English coffers with gold and silver. Then came Henry Morgan, another legendary privateer. His brutal raids on Spanish territories in the Caribbean brought England wealth and power. But unlike other pirates, Morgan used his riches to buy land in Jamaica, paving the way for Britain's first major colony. Jamaica would become a sugar-producing powerhouse, and its success showed England that empire building was not just about conquest, it was about trade. This was just the beginning. The British Empire would grow, not just through force, but through commerce and consumerism. Chapter 2: Trade, Wealth, and the East India Company. As Britain's ambitions expanded, trade became its most powerful weapon. At the heart of this growing empire was a single company, the East India Company. Founded in 1600, this private corporation soon became one of the most powerful organizations in history. It established ports, built forts, and controlled vast territories, particularly in India, Southeast Asia, and Africa. By the 18th century, Britain had developed an insatiable appetite for luxury goods, sugar, tea, coffee, tobacco, silk, and cotton. Tea imports alone soared from 800,000 pounds to over 2.5 million pounds in just a decade. The demand was endless. To feed this consumer craze, Britain created vast plantations in the Caribbean, worked by millions of enslaved people. The empire had grown rich, but at a terrible human cost. It was a delicate balance, prosperity for some, suffering for others. And soon, that balance would be tested in war. Chapter 3: War and the Empire's Expansion. Trade had made Britain wealthy, but war would make it powerful. Throughout the 18th century, Britain and France fought bitter wars for global dominance. The most decisive was the 7 Years' War, 1756 to 1763, a conflict fought across North America, the Caribbean, Europe, and India. The war ended in a crushing victory for Britain. France lost nearly all its North American colonies. India fell under British control, cementing Britain's place as the world's dominant empire. But this victory came at a cost. In North America, the British colonies resented the new taxes imposed to pay for the war. Soon, their discontent turned to revolution. Chapter 4: The American Revolution and the Lessons of Empire. The American colonies had once been Britain's pride, but by 1776, they were in open rebellion. What had started as protests over taxes soon became a full-scale war for independence. For the first time, Britain lost a major colony. The United States of America was born. For Britain, this was a humiliation, a reminder that an empire built on control would not last forever. But Britain would learn from this mistake. In the years to come, it would govern its colonies differently, granting more self-rule, first to Canada, then to Australia, New Zealand, and South Africa. This would make the empire more durable, but not unbreakable. Chapter 5: Rebellion, Industry, and the Seeds of Decline. As the 19th century unfolded, the empire reached its golden age. The Industrial Revolution brought new technology, railways, steamships, and telegraphs, allowing Britain to rule with greater efficiency. But tensions were rising. In India, local soldiers known as sepoys revolted in 1857 after being forced to use rifle cartridges coated in animal fat, violating their religious beliefs. The Indian Rebellion was brutally suppressed, but it changed everything. The East India Company was dissolved, and India was placed directly under British rule. The empire had reached its greatest extent. But soon, it would start to unravel. Chapter 6: 2 World Wars and the Fall of an Empire. By the early 20th century, Britain's empire stretched from Canada to Australia, India to Africa. But it was fragile. 2 world wars drained Britain's wealth, manpower, and influence. In 1947, Britain's most valuable possession, India, won its independence. By the 1960s, Britain had relinquished control of most of its colonies. The empire had collapsed. Conclusion: the empire's legacy. As you sink deeper into sleep, Imagine standing at the edge of history, watching as the great ships of empire fade into the horizon. The British Empire shaped the modern world, for better and for worse. It built railways, parliaments, and cities, but also exploited people, redrew borders, and caused conflicts. Its legacy remains woven into the fabric of our world. Perhaps the greatest lesson is this: power is temporary, and history always moves forward. Thank you for listening to Sleep Books. If you enjoyed tonight's journey, please like, comment, and subscribe. Rest well, and we'll see you tomorrow for another story of history and wonder. Good night and sweet dreams.